99% of the market will miss this next explosion. They'll be watching the wrong signals, chasing meme cycles, reacting to influencer tweets, clinging to tokens with no roadmap, no real-world adoption, just noise. And then it will happen. A price spike they didn't see coming. A utility wave they never expected. A breakout that leaves them scrambling to catch up. Too late. Because while retail is distracted by volatility and hype, one enterprise-grade digital asset is quietly laying the groundwork for something much bigger. Hidden volume surges suggesting accumulation from players who don't chase pumps. They position early. Aggressive token burns that are silently reducing supply and increasing scarcity. Enterprise-grade staking infrastructure rolling out behind the scenes, activating a layer of utility that turns passive holders into network participants. This isn't another pump-and-dump coin. This isn't a trendy narrative with no substance. This is HBAR, and it's not just preparing for a run. It's positioning itself as the backbone of the future enterprise Web3 stack. From regulated tokenization platforms to real-time settlement, from Fortune 500 integrations to government-level applications, HBAR is where utility meets inevitability. And while everyone else is busy watching the wrong screen, you have the chance to see it now. Before we break it all down, stop scrolling. Take 5 seconds right now to save this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with one person who actually does their homework in crypto. Because when this plays out, when HBAR makes its next move, you'll want the receipts. You'll want to be the one who saw it coming, not the one who watched it pass. Let's get into it. The hidden volume surge no one's talking about. Most people misunderstand volume. They think it's the roar of the crowd meme coin pumps, viral Twitter threads, influencer hype cycles, and wild green candles triggered by a single tweet. They think it's loud, fast, obvious. But real volume, the kind that precedes real market moves, is silent. It's cold, methodical, and completely invisible to the average trader. It doesn't scream on TradingView. It doesn't trend on YouTube. It doesn't need a meme to move. And right now, that silent volume is flowing directly into HBAR. Here's what we're seeing, and why it matters. Over the past few weeks, on-chain data has revealed a quiet but unmistakable uptick in strategic wallet activity. Not random retail buys, not speculative pumps, but calculated, repeat-pattern behaviors across enterprise-class wallets. We're talking high-frequency microtransactions executed at irregular intervals. Wallets splitting large holdings across multiple addresses. OTC-sized inflows that don't trigger sudden price jumps. Coordinated shifts of HBAR between known enterprise-aligned accounts. If this were happening in any other asset, people would be screaming accumulation. But with HBAR, silence. Why? Because the institutions playing in this space aren't trying to chase retail attention. They're not trying to flip tokens. They're building infrastructure, and that takes volume before it shows up as price. Let's break that down. Hidden volume equals hidden demand. When institutions move, they do it in the shadows. They use custodial platforms. They route through smart contracts. They segment buys to avoid triggering front-running bots or headlines. The result? Steady accumulation without price distortion. And that's exactly what's happening with HBAR. But here's what makes HBAR different. This isn't just any enterprise play. This isn't a Web3 experiment. Hedera is integrated into live production systems across multiple billion-dollar industries. Let's talk specifics. Avery Dennison, a $12 billion global packaging and RFID company, is running a solution on Hedera that tracks billions of physical items. Every item creates a transaction. These aren't testnet fantasies. These are mainnet transactions being logged in real time. Shinhan Bank, one of Korea's top financial institutions, is leveraging Hedera for cross-border stablecoin transfers and financial document verification. Google Cloud, Boeing, IBM, ServiceNow, Dell, these aren't investors. They're governing council members and active integrators. Each one has a direct incentive to build, scale, and utilize the Hedera network for real-world services. And with every integration, volume grows not as a one-off spike, but as perpetual throughput. This is enterprise-grade demand. And most people are missing it. The disconnect between volume and attention. Here's the catch and the opportunity. Retail investors are obsessed with price. They watch charts. They track RSI. They follow social sentiment. But value is being built in the background, in systems that don't care about memes, trends, or engagement metrics. While the market fixates on hype, HBR is experiencing a shift beneath the surface. A quiet buildup of transactional energy that's about to convert into real momentum. This isn't just a case of volume precedes price. It's a case of infrastructure precedes explosion. And right now, the foundations are being laid, brick by brick, with transactional volume that no one's watching. But when this volume hits a tipping point, price won't lag behind for long. And by the time the headlines catch up, the move will already be in motion, maybe even halfway complete. The tokenomics catalyst they're not pricing in. HBAR isn't just any token, it was built with enterprise-grade tokenomics from day one. And while that might sound like a buzzword, here's what it actually means. This isn't a meme coin designed to pump and dump. It's a finely tuned asset structured to support global-scale applications, and more importantly, to reward long-term alignment with the network's success. Let's break it down. 1. Supply dynamics that actually make sense. Unlike many layer ones that flooded the market with unlocked tokens too early, Hedera has been methodical. The token release schedule is measured, predictable, strategic. That means the sell pressure is limited, and as demand rises, the available circulating supply isn't ballooning to meet it. That imbalance? It creates upward pressure over time. This is where most people miscalculate. They assume token emissions will drown the market. But with major entities staking, burning, and accumulating off-exchange, the real supply available to retail is shrinking. 2. Enterprise-driven staking is quietly activating. Hedera recently enabled native staking. But this isn't your average retail staking pool. This is designed for institutions. Instead of just locking coins for yield, Hedera's model incentivizes node operators who are actively building, companies like IBM, Boeing, and Google. Think about that. Every transaction that passes through an enterprise node creates compounding value for their stake. It's not just staking. It's business-aligned validation. And as more partners spin up nodes and begin securing the network themselves, we'll see a reinforcing flywheel. More partners equals more transactions equals more staking rewards equals more long-term holders. 3. Aggressive burns are coming and most aren't ready for it. Hedera's network fees are tiny, fractions of a penny. But they're constant. As adoption scales, those fractions start to add up. And every transaction burns a small amount of HBAR. Now imagine billions of transactions per month, on-chain, verifiable, automated. The current burn rate is modest, but it grows exponentially with usage. It's not just theoretical. It's already happening with real-world integrations. And the best part? Burns are not hype-driven. They're utility-driven, which means they're sustainable. The more the network is used, the more tokens are permanently removed from circulation. And when that tipping point hits where adoption outpaces emission, you get a supply crunch. It's like watching a glacier crack. Slow at first, until the fracture hits the core and suddenly everything moves fast. The infrastructure flip, why the world's moving toward Hedera. We're in the middle of a fundamental shift in the internet. Web 2 was built on centralized servers, data silos, and middlemen. Web 3 promises decentralization, but most people think that just means crypto. Wrong. What's actually happening is a rebuild of the back end of the global internet. Quietly, in stages. And it's not happening on flashy meme chains or unstable proof-of-work networks. It's happening through enterprise-aligned, regulatory-friendly infrastructure, and Hedera Hashgraph is at the center of it. Let's break it down. Why infrastructure, not hype, will win the next cycle. Look, the last bull run was driven by hype. Monkey JPEGs, speculative DeFi protocols, and altcoins that promised the world and delivered chaos. But the next wave will be driven by infrastructure. Not shiny, not loud, but essential. And Hedera is not trying to win attention. It's quietly becoming the trust layer for enterprise-grade Web3. You don't see Google tweeting memes, but they are a governing council member of Hedera. You don't see Boeing shilling NFTs, but they're building use cases on Hedera's Hashgraph. You don't see IBM launching coins, but they're part of the governance backbone of this network. These companies aren't gambling. They're building what comes next. What makes Hedera different from other L1s? Most people lump HBAR in with other smart contract platforms. Big mistake. Hedera isn't just another blockchain. It's not a blockchain at all. It runs on Hashgraph, a patented consensus mechanism that's faster, fairer, and more energy efficient than anything else in the space. Here's what that means in plain English. Finality in seconds, not minutes or hours. Transaction costs of less than $0.001. Carbon negative operations by design. No forking, no rollbacks, no chaos. And here's the kicker. These aren't future promises. This is live right now. This is why governments, supply chains, payments companies, and tokenized assets are choosing Hedera to build. Because they don't need speculation. They need speed, predictability, legal clarity, and enterprise security. And Hedera delivers all four. Why this is bigger than crypto? We need to stop thinking small. HBAR isn't just competing with Ethereum. It's competing with Visa, with Swift, with AWS. You think that's hype? Ask Shinhan Bank why they're building cross-border stablecoin trials on Hedera. Ask Avery Dennison why their 800+ billion serialized product records are hashed to Hedera. Ask LimeChain and ServiceNow why they're integrating Hedera into real enterprise workflows. This isn't a gamble. It's adoption in real time. HBAR is becoming the silent foundation for a new digital economy. One where supply chains are transparent, identity is decentralized, data is immutable, and payments are instant. And while most of the market is watching the price charts, the real shift is happening underneath the surface in code, contracts, and corporate integrations. The enterprise flywheel is now in motion. For years, the crypto market has talked about enterprise adoption as a far-off goal, something to chase in the next bull cycle or to speculate on during conference announcements. But while retail focused on speculation, Hedera was building a foundation. Now, that foundation is becoming a fully operational flywheel. We're talking about real-world applications, not promises, not press releases, not pilot programs, live, production-grade implementations. This matters because enterprise adoption doesn't follow hype cycles. It doesn't get derailed by influencers, TikTok trends, or market sentiment. Once activated, it compounds. Here's how. 1. Every partner becomes a node, literally and metaphorically. BAR's governing council isn't made up of no-name crypto projects. It includes Google, IBM, Boeing, Standard Bank, LG, Dell, and more. These aren't passive investors. They run nodes. They have a direct stake in Hedera's integrity, scalability, and governance. They also bring with them global supply chains, enterprise compliance standards, massive internal use cases. Each partner activates infrastructure and drives internal and external utility. Every time they use Hedera's network for data authentication, carbon credit tracking, supply logistics, or micropayments, they generate volume and burn tokens. 2. Utility isn't a buzzword, it's transactional gravity. What HBAR is enabling isn't theoretical. It's measurable. Avery Dennison is verifying billions of supply chain events on-chain. ServiceNow is exploring how Hedera can support its digital workflows. Shinhan Bank is using Hedera for stablecoin remittance pilots. Every event, every action, every verified entry equals volume. Real volume. This isn't marketing fluff. It's adoption that pulls value through the network regardless of market hype. And as more partners go live, the gravity increases. 3. Burn mechanics plus demand equals imminent supply tension. HBAR isn't inflationary. In fact, the more it's used, the more it gets burned. As enterprise usage ramps up, token velocity increases, and that leads to reduced available supply. Not from speculation, from usage. You now have a convergence. Corporate demand for throughput. Protocol-level burns from transactions. Increasingly locked liquidity via staking and partnerships. This is a flywheel designed for compounding network effects. 4. The quiet before the re-rating. Here's what most people won't see until it's too late. Market valuations are reactive, but enterprise networks operate on long feedback loops. By the time retail investors realize HBAR is being used at scale, the re-rating will already be priced in. HBAR isn't trying to go viral. It's trying to go fundamental. It's not targeting memes. It's targeting infrastructure. And infrastructure doesn't moon, it moves everything else with it. So when the re-rating comes, when analysts and funds start modeling real utility, real burn, real throughput, it won't be a hype wave. It'll be a recalibration of value. And if you're positioned before that recalibration, you won't need to chase momentum. You'll already be riding it. The time to act is before the headlines hit. This isn't about hype. This isn't about catching the next pump. This is about positioning intelligently, early, and decisively before the rest of the market catches on. We are entering a new phase where utility isn't a narrative. It's a measurable force. And Hedera isn't trying to keep up with the crypto space. It's quietly building the backbone of the next internet economy, with billion-dollar corporations, public infrastructure, and real-world data flowing through it. You don't need a viral moment when you have institutional gravity. But that also means the moment to get ahead of the curve is shrinking. Because when utility finally drives price, there won't be a second chance to buy before the re-rating. So the call to action is simple. Research the fundamentals. Watch the ecosystem updates. Look at who's actually using the network. And most importantly, position yourself before the flywheel becomes unstoppable. Because the next wave of crypto growth won't be built on speculation. It will be built on infrastructure. And Hedera is already there, operating, scaling, and compounding in plain sight. Don't be the one chasing after the fact. Be the one who saw it before it was obvious.